Hello friends! In 2013, the film Stalingrad by the famous director Fyodor Bondarchuk was released, and today we will find out the veteran's opinion about this film and whether it is worth taking seriously what the screenwriters came up with. Well, I'll tell you what, the film is heavy, but it's not Stalingrad. Now let's discuss it in order, because you need to know the truth. I was a tank commander in Stalingrad for 3 months. It was August, September, and October. This is the period when German troops were already approaching the Volga in the north and partly in the south. All supplies went through the Volga. We didn't see the Volga River in the film. It was shot either in the Baltic Sea or somewhere else, but it wasn't the Volga River. There is nothing. The soldiers are sitting in the ruins, and all the action is happening there. Where is the enemy and where are our troops? It's all mixed up, so I didn't see it either. Fen Alexander Fedorovich, born on December 1, 1923, participant of the Battle for Stalingrad, tank commander, destroyed 3 German tanks and 2 guns, participant of the Battle of Kursk, liberated Minsk. He finished the war in Poland, destroyed 12 tanks during all WW2, had 4 wounds. Residents of Stalingrad left from that side, both husband and wife and children there. There were a lot of these guys 13 to 14 years old. One of them was my messenger from the tractor factory to my tank. They're boys running through the bushes. They will see when the tanks are coming, when the enemy is preparing to attack. They come to the factory and report, and the commanders at the factory sent him to us. That's how we get information that the Germans are preparing for an offensive. He went with a machine gun, and I also gave him a German trophy machine gun. He already knew how to throw grenades. That's what kind of help we had from these guys. None of this is shown. One day this boy came to us with a report, but it was too late and already the Germans went on the attack. We saw how the Germans had taken up a position in front of the fence not far away. We crawled closer to them and opened fire and threw grenades. The Germans were scared, thought there was a big counterattack, and started running away. And these young guys also helped us. There were a lot of women who served as nurses and snipers, and they showed in the movie only 2. At least one is positive, and the other is negative. But why did he build this film on this negative? After all, our women were not like that in Stalingrad. What do you want to show? After all, we see what? Some German found our slut and lived with her, and he loves and protects this slut, and our people will not kill him in any way. He shoots everyone. Only in the end he died. What did Bondarchuk want to show by this? Which Germans are good? Better than our soldiers? It's not clear to me. I doubt his honesty. In his correct political orientation, that he wanted to show the truth, I doubt. It won't do like this. That's only in the 64th Army there were 600 sniper girls. They were located on an island in the middle of the Volga. They destroyed those, first of all, who went in an officer's uniform. So it wasn't the same fool who trained her behind this rifle. When they were called, studies were organized for them. At the same time, they were trained beyond the Volga. The girls went to the army as a signalman. Some performed the role of a nurse if she could. That's what all our girls did there. There were thousands of such guys, such girls. Have you seen our soldiers fed or not seen in this movie? And I got food from the cauldron every day morning and evening. In the morning, they also gave 100 grams of vodka. I didn't drink. My friend from Siberia drank mine, and we ate normally. I do not know how he could bypass this episode. It's a disgrace to our Red Army. The truth about providing the Red Army and its units with normal nutrition is not shown, and it was organized well, and people need to understand that. No one controlled anyone in the movie. Everyone is walking around in quilted jackets doing something, but no commanders and leadership is visible in this film. Planes over Stalingrad did not dive. They flew up there, and they took 5 kilometers of altitude no lower, and their armada is flying and buzzing over our buried tanks. We were joking about it when I was in the hospital. They fly and the sound is similar to the Russian word to carry something, bezu bezu bezu. The sound affected us depressingly, and they throw bombs. We are sitting in the hatch, and here I am watching a bunch of bombs come off there. There's one big in the middle, and besides that there are 5 small bombs. Here you look where they fly. When they fly closer, we close the hatch and sit. You're waiting for it to hit the tank or it won't. I'm telling you this as a man who fought, who saw with his own eyes. So they have built up all these decorations and spent money there, but there is no sense. And the fact that they are trying to present it to the West, how will they appreciate it? I object and I am outraged. What kind of Stalingrad? Where's our victory? You didn't show it. Then why did he make this film? Maybe he wanted to show them this rabble. It's not clear. Let's stop talking about this shitty movie. Better I tell you about my service in the Soviet Army. I remember when our crew supported the attack of our soldiers on one of the houses. I was pleased when the first shot and a shell flew through the window. Well, I think the flame will fly out of there. And not only the flame flew out, but also along with the dust. And so I processed all the windows. Then I passed the lower floor, and then I got a green rocket signal. For the assault group, it was a signal. The fighters rose to the attack with a shout of hurrah. I could even hear it. And I'm watching to the left of the Germans, well, maybe 18 to 20 people. Where are they running to? I guess that the Germans were running to this house in which our soldiers are already fighting. And no one gives me any command, and for the first time I make an independent decision. From a cannon with a fragmentation shell, bang into this group of soldiers. They lay down and now it is not visible. After a while, everyone got up again and again. The second shell went there and no one else got up, because those who remained alive probably thought of lying down so that I wouldn't see, otherwise they would be finished. All the peoples of the Soviet Union, one might say the entire Soviet people, each of us contributed contributed to this victory. I also want to tell you about the feat of my comrades. Our tank battalion was leaving the Ostroshitsky town early in the morning. Ahead is a reconnaissance patrol of our 3 tanks. Alexander Motorin was the first to notice the German Tiger stuck by the river, and this is a heavy tank of 54 tons and with an 88mm cannon. 3 members of his crew stood nearby, watching as the tank, lifting its gun into the sky, roared its engine, trying to get out. Because of this noise, they did not hear the approach of the Motorin tank, and the driver and commander of the Tiger were inside the tank. Alexander acted sensibly. It is almost impossible to knock out a Tiger from a 76mm T-34 cannon. Therefore, Motorin fired a fragmentation shell at 3 fascists standing near the tank, and then hit the armor-piercing on the roof of the Tiger tower. The projectile ricocheted into the sky, but the blow was so terrible that the mechanic and the commander jumped out of the Tiger, and a machine gun burst was immediately fired at them. That's how Alexander Motorin captured a whole Tiger. The next victim of Motorin was a heavy German self-propelled gun, which had to be rammed. But his mechanic driver, Vanya Petrov, despite his 18 years, knew how to do it. Ivan hit the forehead of the T-34 body on the drive wheel of the self-propelled gun and tore off the caterpillar from it. The fascist crew jumped out of the immobilized car and was destroyed by machine gun fire. After the ram, the Motorin tank turned out to be at the end of the patrol, and the T-34 of Junior Lieutenant Ivan Zaitsev became the lead vehicle. Literally, in 1.5 kilometers of the way, he was lucky to notice in time and destroy the fastest Panther, an exceptionally strong tank with a long-barreled 75mm gun. This is how, thanks to the decisive actions of our scout, the exit of the 31st Tank Brigade from Ostroshitsky Gorodok was without losses. But on a bend in the forest road, our scout was hit by 3 enemy tanks which were ambushing us. One after another, all 3 vehicles of the reconnaissance patrol burst into flames, and the enemy transferred the fire to the advancing column of the main forces of the battalion, followed by the forward command post of the 31st Brigade. 2 more of our tanks caught fire, and suddenly, unexpectedly, Alexander Motorin's tank, which was burning, came to life and entered the battle. He makes 3 aim shots and destroys all 3 enemy tanks, but our guys didn't have time to jump out of the burning vehicle. The tank exploded, and the entire crew was killed. Alexander Motorin, Ivan Petrov, Alexander Karagadin, Nikolai Razuvev, and they were 18 to 20 years old. A monument has now been installed at the place of their death near the village of Markovshchina. Thanks to their feat, our 31st Tank Brigade was able to break into Zaslav already on 3 July. At the railway station, we managed to capture the fascist trains with cargo prepared for shipment. But the most exciting thing that remained in my heart forever happened when a company of machine gunners and I began checking these long lines of cars in search of the Germans. Suddenly, we hear a clunk and pleas for help. When we opened the cars, we were showered with girls. It turned out that there were about 300 Soviet girls in the tightly packed 5 cars, driven by the fascists to be sent to the West. One of them rushed to hug me, too, and froze, hugging and not letting go. And my hands are busy. Here, grenades, and here, a pistol. I'm still thinking about the war. Now some Fritz will throw a grenade at us, and that's it. So I was confused. In the battles on the Kursk Bulge, our tank brigades often acted as follows. In the first echelon, T-34 tanks were advancing, capable of fighting medium and heavy enemy tanks. Crashing into the enemy's battle formations on the move, they destroyed them with fire and moved forward. Then, under the onslaught of the enemy, the 34 stopped and even began to move back 500, 1000 Having found convenient positions, they opened fire from the spot. Under the cover of their aimed fire, the 2nd and 3rd battle lines of our tanks entered the battle. Firing on the move, they moved forward to the distance of the firing shot of the tanks striking from the spot, and then together with them, they made a decisive throw forward. And this has been done more than once, depending on the current situation. Boats. When this heavy battle near Prokhorovka began, I commanded a tank platoon of light 2-seater T-70 tanks in the 31st Tank Brigade. Our tank battalion, manned by these light vehicles, was advancing in the 3rd line, and ahead is the 32nd Brigade, fully equipped with T-34 tanks. They crashed into the battle formations of the advancing German tanks, beat them with cannons, and many went to ram. Here I must say that if you ram yourself, then as a rule, you try to hit your powerful frontal part of the hull into the driving wheel of an enemy, and it is not designed for a blow and will definitely break, and the immobilized German is no longer a fighter. We were advancing on our light tanks at a distance of about 100 to 200 meters from the 34. The advance was slow, often stopped, reflecting the enemy's counterattacks. Soon German tanks began to make their way to us. Despite the small caliber of the T-70 cannon, only 45mm, and even at close range, German self-propelled guns burned well from its armor-piercing projectile. Only it became more difficult to figure out in battle where one's own and where the enemy is, especially when our and German cars got mixed up in a counter battle. And in front and on the right, and on the left tanks are burning and the enemy in ours. It was necessary to carefully monitor the choice of the target and even shoot so that in case of a miss, the projectile would not hit the Soviet tank. To survive myself, I disguised our T-70 as a burning tank by installing smoke bombs on the armor. When I fired from the spot, we threw a smoke grenade ahead of the tank. Thanks to all this, in the Battle of July 12, 1943, I managed to destroy 3 German cars and save my own. But the main difficulty of the Prokhorov battle was not only in the confusion on the battlefield, where 3 of our tank corps were advancing at once. They were given the task, and the commanders of all levels aggressively sought to fulfill it. The main difficulty was the deterioration of the overall operational situation. The Germans, faced with such significant forces of ours, were able to tie us up with a grueling battle near Prokhorovka and intensified the offensive on the flanks to surround all 3 of our corps. To fend off these flanking attacks, the command of our 5th Tank Army threw its reserves towards the Germans. With great difficulty, they managed to stop the enemy and even push them 5 to 8 count. By the evening of July 12, the intensity of the battle began to subside with us. It is difficult to imagine what a depressed state has gripped us, young tankers. The losses are large, but there was no success, as we thought. At the beginning of the day, our battalion was equipped with T-70 tanks over staff. Instead of the 31st tank, there were 39, and by the evening, there were only 15 left. We tankers, with limited experience and knowledge at that time, could not correctly assess the actions of senior commanders and believed that it was because of them such losses and such failure. But in the evening, all radio networks broadcast an appeal to us by the commander of the 5th Guards Tank Army, P.A. Rotmistro. He said, "Tankers, you have performed a real miracle. You stopped the German beast." Hearing this, it became easier for us, and we began to prepare for tomorrow's battle with even more enthusiasm. During the night, trenches were dug for tanks, replenished with ammunition and fuel. In the morning, we were ready to attack or repel the enemy attack again.